My parents don't want me to ever move away from home, no matter how well I am doing, and insist that if I ever leave, I am going to fail, and fail hard. But I feel like it's finally time for me to spread my wings and gain some independence. My parents spent 5 years systematically sabotaging every attempt I made at independence. I thought they were being protective of my anxiety disorder, but I was actually their unpaid servant, disguised as their beloved daughter. At 23, I was a straight A college student, state champion in speech and debate, 6 classes from graduating, and had just qualified for grants covering my entire tuition. My anxiety was better than it had been in years, but my parents treated me like I was still a helpless teenager having daily panic attacks. They gave me exactly $200 per month for food and gas while I drove between campus, internship, and speech practice daily. When I asked for more money, they'd say, learn to budget. When I offered to get a job, they'd say, absolutely not, and make me quit any job I managed to find. The control was suffocating. I had to text them my location throughout the day. I got scolded for hanging my towel on the wrong rack. They'd send me on emergency milk runs at midnight, then criticize me for being tired. They ignored my boyfriend completely, despite his efforts to connect with them. When I started dating seriously, my parents' protection became weaponized control. You're not done cooking yet, they'd say. You need to focus on your studies, even though my grades were perfect. When I mentioned getting grant money, my stepdad immediately shut me down. No, you're not moving out. They hadn't even let me finish explaining what the grants were for. Every summer during college, I'd try to find work. They'd sabotage it every time. One summer, I kept a retail job for 3 weeks before they suddenly demanded I babysit my brother constantly until I had to quit for family obligations. The moment I quit, my babysitting duties mysteriously disappeared. The breaking point came when I finally understood their game. They needed me home in case they needed me, not for genuine emergencies, but to be available for arbitrary tasks and emotional labor. I was their anxiety management system, their convenience, their control object. I started applying for jobs behind their backs. When I landed a front desk position and got approval for my tuition grants, I sat them down to announce I was moving out. Their masks fell off completely. They threatened to cut off my health insurance knowing I needed daily Prozac to function. They told me I was making the worst decision of my life and would fail at everything. In front of my boyfriend, they listed every mistake I'd ever made and insisted I was incapable of living in the real world. This from people who had just watched me earn 2 academic grants and maintain perfect grades while managing a job, internship, and state-level competitive speaking. When my boyfriend and I brought them a detailed budget showing our financial planning, they didn't even look at it. You belong at home, period, they said, for the sake of being around in case we need you. I realized they would never see me as anything but their crutch. They didn't want me to succeed. They needed me to stay dependent so they could maintain control. I moved out anyway. The transformation was immediate. My anxiety virtually disappeared. I looked forward to coming home to my own space. My job thrived. I learned to budget, pay bills, and handle adult responsibilities they insisted I was incapable of managing. Meanwhile, my boyfriend's parents welcomed me like a daughter. They helped repair walls, bought groceries, cooked Thanksgiving dinner, and gave me surprise birthday gifts. They showed me what supportive parents actually look like. My own parents never visited once. When I invited them for Thanksgiving, they couldn't make it. My mom occasionally calls asking me to do favors, then gives me silent treatment when I'm too busy. 6 months later, I'm thriving in ways they told me were impossible. The same person they claimed would fail at everything is managing work, school, rent, bills, and a healthy relationship while maintaining better mental health than I'd had in years. I finally understand that my anxiety wasn't just a chemical imbalance. Much of it was my nervous system's response to living under constant surveillance and control. When I stayed weekends with my boyfriend, my anxiety decreased. When I returned to my parents' house, it spiked immediately. They didn't want to protect me from the world. They wanted to protect their control over me from the world.